Hey, it's Kaero. Welcome back to the channel. I'm one of your MTG ambassadors. Thank you to Wizards of the Coast for sponsoring this video. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because it's going to talk about me, which is weird because I don't usually talk about myself too much on the channel. I'm usually talking about the gameplay or spoilers or card reviews or whatever it may be, but I thought that I would tell you my story about how I originally got involved with Magic the Gathering all the way up until being a content creator and MTG ambassador. There will also be some information for new players if you know anybody who wants to join and start playing Magic the Gathering, but you don't really know where to start because it is such a robust and diverse game. Have no fear about that. I have links in the description. I'm going to go over a few ways that you can introduce people to Magic the Gathering and bring them into the game that we love as well. So my story begins at about 1997. This would have been like right when I was starting middle school. Somebody had brought some cards to class, and I was like, well, I like, fantasy things. I was just learning about Lord of the Rings and things like that. So they brought some 5th edition cards. And the funny thing about this is we played Magic the Gathering back then with no knowledge really of the rules, sort of a passing knowledge. For instance, we played that you drew 7 cards and you just put all your lands down immediately. We're like, oh, you have 3 forests, put 3 forests down, and then you get to draw a card every turn and you just play with all of your lands down. So you can imagine the absurdity that happened whenever we played these games. Generally speaking, you just packed your deck full of lands and huge creatures like crawl worms and things like that. We also played that if you ran out of cards, you just drew 7 more cards. So you could pack your deck with small spells, and it led to like this weird skew of where like, hey, I'm playing burn and I'm just destroying because I'm burning all these spells and drawing 7 more cards. If I can get an empty hand, I get to draw 7 more. So we didn't really understand all the rules of the game, needless to say, but even so, the no pun intended magic was still there. We had a lot of fun playing it, and even though we didn't know the rules, this word kind of spread throughout school, right? Because people would have cards, then, your parents would take you to the mall or whatever, and you would see some booster packs and you'd buy them, get some new cards, share them with friends. And eventually we got into the realm of like building our own decks, right? With these absurd rules. Now this is like 1997, 1998. So if there were any strategy articles, I'm sure they even were in magazines back then, there were no like meta decks. Nobody knew what was going on, especially us. I mean, if there were anything, it wasn't available to us. So we were just exercising pure creativity and creating our decks. Like I played a lot of green, my buddy played a lot of blue, and then we would mix in blue black and then green red. And I had one friend who played a 5-color deck that was just nothing but absolute bombs, and it never came together because he didn't have any dual lands or anything. But when it did happen, it was really nasty, but it only happened, once out of every 10 games or whatever. It wasn't consistent. But so that got me thinking on this. Like, that's just such a good thing, especially for kids. I mean, we weren't like little kids, but we weren't adults, and it's a great thing for kids to exercise their creativity in building these decks. And at the time, there were a lot of cards. Now there's an infinite number of cards, basically, from different sets, and there's all these different formats. Back then, we only had, this 60-card format 1v1. Now you have Commander, multiplayer formats. Oathbreaker is making its way into the atmosphere now. And so there are a lot more resources for new players for Magic the Gathering, but it's flexible enough that you can play however you want to. And I think reflecting on that is why I love this game so much, and that's what makes this game great. There was somebody who was talking to me the other day, a longtime friend, who was saying basically, how do you maintain your interest in one game over the course of several years? Because, with other games, you play them, you get through them 30 or 40 hours or whatever, 50 hours, whatever it is, and then you're done. But I think what makes Magic the Gathering really cool is you can just kind of, the rules of the game are the same, but you're constantly exercising your creativity to make new decks, and it refreshes interest in the game over time. So if we fast forward a few years went by, we played Magic the Gathering ultra casually. About 2008, after the release of Shadowmoor, my friends and I decided that we wanted to try to get a little bit competitive. So we heard about a Grand Prix in Chicago, which was kind of closer to our area than a lot of other places. We were teenagers or early 20s. We were broke, didn't have any money. So what we decided to do is when I got off of my shift at the gas station at night, they would come pick me up in a mid-sized sedan, not a comfortable car, drive all the way through the night, get to Chicago, rest for a few hours, and then enter. So I played elves, and I have my elf deck right here, and I did not do very well. My other friend played elementals, and my other friend played rogues, so all these typal decks were good at the time in the meta. That being said, even though I did not do well at all, I really enjoyed getting into competitive play, and I think that gave me the spark, if you will. Got a lot of unintentional puns in this video, to pursue competitive play a little bit more seriously. So at this time, after we decided we're going to go to do this Grand Prix, there was a lot of play testing. But there was play testing in a garage with only cards that we bought from booster packs. No knowledge of the meta really whatsoever, other than we had a hunch from our local game store that like blue-black fairies was a thing, but we didn't really know and have all the resources. So I went into it playing elves, and I got absolutely destroyed because my entire strategy was elf ball. Make as many 1/1 elf tokens as possible, and then either attack the opponent or try to, my thought at the time was gain a bunch of life, and that would like make me win. If I had 70 or 80 life, they couldn't kill me, but turns out that they can. So I got destroyed. But at the same time, those are some of my best memories playing Magic. The fact that we were broke, that we had no sleep, driving through the night, getting there, the excitement of entering the tournament and playing in the big convention center was really, really fun, and it made me like really want to do it again. Well, life happened, things, happened. I wasn't able to do that as much until we hit, fast forward a decade, and we get MTG Arena. That rekindled my love for Magic in a big way, because having the convenience to play from home, a lot of people that didn't play Magic before Arena don't realize how it was before. When you were trying to play test for tournaments or whatever, you can't play the game by yourself. You couldn't, so you'd have to go to your local game store. You'd have to have other serious players that you were friends with, or you would have to do tournaments. That's basically it. So having Arena really, I think, has increased the quality of player and really allowed people to be more creative and be able to have Magic more on demand. So that's why I love Arena so much, because I'm able to play on demand. So I played Arena for a couple years. I wanted to make content in the very beginning playing Arena, but I was like, I don't think I'm good enough to make content yet. I think I'm going to make content and people are going to watch it and be like, this deck is not good. So I spent a year or more just kind of refining, learning, being a student of the game, trying to get better. I'm still doing that to this day. I don't think that journey is ever over, but I got competent to a point where I started to make content, and I have met a lot of cool people on streams. I've gotten a lot of comments, and subscribers are almost up to 4,000 right now, and I thank you very much for that. This has been an incredible ride, and I think this game has brought so many people together over the course of its existence in different ways. I mean, you can't even really count the ways, whether you're into casual, purely tabletop Friday night commander play, where you have low-powered commander decks. That's really fun. That's just as fun as if you're in super high-level competitive play. Maybe you're not laughing as much in competitive play, but you do have a sense of some sort of accomplishment when you play test, put a deck together, and you execute. That's fun in a different way. Even though I don't do a ton of draft on this channel, I really enjoy draft, and I really enjoy limited, because you have your lateral limit set and you have a sealed card pool to choose from, and it tests your ability to think on the fly. And you don't get that with a lot of other games. Magic is sort of unique in that there are so many formats and different sets, and that's what I think really keeps my interest. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell in this short video. If you wanted to learn anything else about me, then that's kind of what it is. I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or you have any new players that are wanting to start playing the game, these are going to be perfect for them. These are starter kits. This is the brand new one for this year. It comes with 2 decks. I don't know the exact price on it, but it's not very expensive. That's how I taught my brother-in-law to play Magic about 2 months ago. And he is into Magic right now too, in a big way, and that kind of takes the burden off of building decks and having one deck that maybe is too powerful for the other and somebody just not really learning the game or whatever. So these are tailor-made to do that. So picking up a starter kit is great. Commander is very, very good. And so wherever you are on your journey or wherever you're planning to go, thank you for being a subscriber to this channel. I'll support you in any way I can, as you all have supported me, and I thank Wizards of the Coast for sponsoring this video. So that's just a little bit more about me. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time, hopefully.